So, Fillery's gin box.
Mm-hmm.
Nice set of gins. Starting with Colonsey.
Yep.
Straightforward, simple. Tell me about the Colonsey.
Well, classical interpretation, I suppose. It's there's no sort of big, obvious flavour that it's hung on. Nothing overwhelmingly strong and shouty. And in that respect, it's kind of nice. Small bottle, and what's the percentage here? 47%, which I agree with. I think more the merrier.
You can smell 47%.
Yeah, you can, and it translates very well on the palate. I think that alcohol level, and as you'll know, a lot of the best gins in the world are the strongest. They don't have to be navy strength, but that sort of over 46% seems to have a nice textural mouthfeel. Brings that generally brings to the party, and I don't know. I always find that. That sort of magic area between 46 and 50 seems to draw out more of the botanicals. It's just a personal thing, but I generally find that's...
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, thinking of the gins I really like,
yeah,
or not even the ones that I really like, the ones that I think wow about, yeah, they would all be sitting in that range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a sweetness to the palate, obviously juniper led, whatever that means, but it is there. It's not.
You're meant to know what that means.
Well, yeah.
But I know.
Juniper led is an oft-used term when people are trying to mark themselves out as a classically styled gin, one which isn't relying solely on some funky botanical, which is invariably the overwhelming characteristic of that gin.
Yeah.
Locally picked botanicals, which they've hand forested on the island, I believe. And it works really, really well. It's got the classical rooty, some orris root dryness there, which I love because it starts sweet and then it finishes a little bit dry and woody, and the alcohol just holds it all together brilliantly.
It's a very gin.
Yeah, very, very, very. That's what.
Which is almost as good as saying it's juniper led, but.
Yes. Yeah.
But I know what I mean.
Classical, very, very good gin and tonic gin. Not the cheapest, as we mentioned earlier, because of the size of the bottle, but they're not alone. I think when producers put them into a 50cl bottle, it doesn't always translate as well as when it's just a more expensive 70cl. Consumers seem to be more willing to accept a more expensive 70 and look at a 50cl with suspicion, which I don't know whether that tells you more about their idea of the price or the fact that it's a smaller bottle. I don't know.
No, but I know what you mean. I would agree with you on that. I would personally rather spend more money on a 70 than on a 50. If that makes.
Look, as soon as something comes in a smaller bottle, you instantly feel like you're
getting less
a bad deal. Yeah. But the tonic doesn't take away the flavour at all. It keeps it all going. It's all there. Doesn't dilute it. 47% helps.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I'm not driving this time around, so I can actually drink
Good
it.
stuff. Right, nice gin.
Oh, that's very nice gin. Right, so the second one is one I've known for a long time actually, which is Shetland Real, and this is the original Shetland Real. And I do like the packaging around the top,
Yeah.
which I think is a map of Europe and the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, to indicate where they're from and exactly how far north they are. They're not just Shetland, which is remote enough. These guys are Unst, the Isle of Unst, which is one of the most northerly islands within the Shetland Isles. So it takes 2 ferries to get to them.
Right.
So it is properly remote. Admirable venture to distill up there. That might sound a little bit demeaning towards Shetland. It's not meant to be. It's just that there are, I suppose, easier places to get your gins to and from. Shetland has all the most remarkable botanicals you could ask for, and it has that characteristic of the sea about it, the coast and the freshness, which I love. As you say, brilliant presentation, a relatively recent rebrand, and the colour through the bottle from the base, I think, is a work of genius. I don't know why. They've done brilliantly. And they have a range extension of Ocean Scent, which is even more seaside fresh, and then there's Summer Gin as well, which has an orangey character to it. So,
and this has got apple mint in it.
Yeah.
I really like this. This was one of the first gins I moved on to from drinking sort of things like Gordon's. When we came back to Scotland. And this, always liked the Shetland.
There's a slightly spicy length to it, almost peppery, which is very nice. It counterpoints the freshness and the saline characteristic of the upfront flavours to it. Like you say, appley. I would also argue it's kind of orangey. It's got a kind of Seville orange character running through it.
Yeah, but nice. It's not as orangey as something like a bigger gin. Mm-hmm. It's quite a subtle orange, but it's one of those oranges that when someone like you says, "Oh, yeah, I can taste orange," you go, "Oh yeah, I can taste orange."
You can. It's almost like a just ripe. Funny thing to say, but a kind of a leafy orange. Do you know what I mean by that?
There's something that's a bit earthy in it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's balanced beautifully because all that sweet fruit, and then you've got the classical, again, rootiness, which brings balance to the party. Tonic, in this case, we've gone for a relatively neutral as possible to try and help the gins sing on their own merit. But the tonic, and in this case the Franklin's, brings out almost tea-like character on the nose, which is really interesting.
I think this is one that with the tonic in it is nicer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me anyway. I mean, quite a lot of gins, they're really nice without the tonic, they're really nice with the tonic. This one, I think the tonic really helps it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so it's an absolutely cracking gin and tonic gin. Really like it. Becomes sweeter as well with time. And this isn't a sweet tonic water.
No, it's a good gin.
No, isn't it?
It's
a bit of a session gin, this one.
Yes.
Which is no bad thing.
And now, on to local gin. Our friends in Linlithgow. I do love the bottle.
They've done well. They've done really well.
You see, they've just put in their new still. They've just bought a bigger still. I was watching it, it's gone. They were on Instagram filming it going in.
They've got a couple of new ones due out as well very soon, based on the form areas.
Yes.
So there's minty one, I think.
There's a lemon sherbet.
That's right.
Which I tried, one of the original, a couple of months back. I tried that. That's really nice.
It sounds
very, very different.
It's a nice idea. I'm not seeing anybody try that.
But it's not massively sweet.
Right.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But I do love. I mean, Lingen.
Yeah. Nice people, nice story, local stuff made exactly where they say it is, and they're doing it really, really well. Still pretty small batch stuff, which is nice, but they've got a good future ahead of them because they're making some cracking gin, and really like it. And it's nice that it's just round the corner from us in Lithgow.
And they're very passionate. It has got a lovely smell to it. I can never work out quite what it is, but
it's a very, very textural gin, this one.
Yeah.
And that's often the sign of because it's not sweet. They haven't thrown sugar into it. This is I'm sure I'm right in saying that this is a London dry, isn't it?
yes,
So they haven't thrown sugar into it.
43% as well.
Yeah, but that wonderful texture tells you everything you need to know about the distillation there. It's really, really well made. Try with a bit of time.
Yes, please. Whereas I've got things like bigger gin, which is obviously very orange and very out of one end of the scale. And then you've got things like, say, Macca's or Hawthorns, which is just really pure London dry. Something like this is kind of, to me, in the middle, and it's just a lovely gin. It really is. And as you said, really nice people. It smells amazing too.
With the addition of the tonic, for me, it becomes almost cream soda-y. You get that old-fashioned lemonade, but for me, vanilla cream soda as well. Those are the key flavours that's brought out of the gin with the addition of the tonic.
I mean, it's an interesting gin, because to me that's a gin you could sit on a winter's evening in front of a fire drinking. But equally, that would work really well in blazing sunshine in the middle of summer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a really nice drinking gin.
Yeah, that's lovely that. And a small amount of sherbetiness on the finish, which is fun.
It did take them 18 months to get it right. It shows.
Yes, it does.
And now for something completely different. So, gin mare?
Do you know what? I don't know. I call it gin mare, but that's maybe a slightly too pretentious interpretation of the name.
You're an expert.
But I like this a lot. It's a big brand. It's, along with the likes of Botanist, Hendrix, Caroon. It is a big brand and it's all over the place. But like with the Botanist, like with Caroon and other big brand gins, especially the likes of Tanqueray, just because you're big doesn't mean that you're any worse than the small guys. And Gin Mare is a great example of that. So I really, really like it. There are very, very few of this kind of style of gin in the marketplace. Not least because I guess what we're used to up here is the Scottish gins and beyond that English gins. We rarely get many of the continental European gins coming over with the Mediterranean influence. But that's what they hang their hat on here, not least the olive characteristic to it, the Mediterranean herbs, which makes it really quite unique. Again, textural because of the olive character. But I love the thyme and the rosemary, and it all hangs together really, really well.
Yeah, I was going to say it smells totally different from the other three. I mean, completely. You can see a sort of a progression through them, a common theme, and then this is just off to one side. That's very nice. I'd seen this a lot in shops. I've never actually bought it before you recommended it. It's interesting, different. Again, textural. I know I've mentioned that a lot, but I think that's the sign of a really, really good, well-made gin. Obviously, made in big quantities. They're not messing around here, but they've maintained the quality, and I think it's absolutely cracking. Lovely presentation as well. Yeah, I like the big.
Do you want to try a bit of time?
Yes, please. That's nice. That is very nice.
It is good, isn't it? And you can see why that would be so popular in the heat of Catalonia, southern Spain, and elsewhere, because it's full flavoured, and then you throw the tonic into it. And what they'll do in Spain, of course, is they'll fill up half a glass that size full of gin and the rest of the time. So it's a big old drink, massively refreshing.
And half a bucket of fruit and veg on top.
Yeah. But it's a lovely thing, and I really rate it.
Yeah, that is nice. I think it's a really nice set this month. Good gins.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.